Hello, so today I'm going to be talking about the possible diagnoses of the character Sarah Lynn from BoJack Horseman. So just some basic information about her. Her name is Sarah Lynn. She's 30 years old. She's a female. She is not in any relationship that we know of. She's white, she's able-bodied, and her occupation is a singer and actor. Some things that usually some important basic information about someone is their religious identity and their nationality, but that is not mentioned in the show, so I will have to put not authorized for that portion. So some diagnoses that I had in mind for her is bipolar 1 disorder, substance abuse disorder, and a personality disorder of some sort. So starting off with bipolar 1 disorder, she has periods of very high energy, acts of recklessness, and risky behavior, which can be seen in her excessive partying, drugs, sex, and spending. She also experiences fast mood swings, and you can see this throughout the show a lot of times whenever she is confronted or is trying to get something to go her way. And throughout the show, you can see things that could represent a major depressive episode. The only issue with this diagnosis is that she does have a serious drug problem, which is seen many times, and this could be why the manic-like episodes are induced. So unless she gets clean, there is no really way to be able to diagnose her with bipolar 1 disorder. So next is substance abuse disorder, and as mentioned before, she does have a serious drug problem, and she was introduced to drugs and alcohol at a very, very early age. I believe she was around 10 or 11 when one of the co-stars on the show that she was on gave her vodka. So she's seen frequently using various different types of substances throughout the show, including methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, prescription drugs, heroin, and various types of alcohol, which eventually led to her death in the show. She also has a very unstable sense of identity, which can be seen in season 3, episode 11, where she turned to BoJack and said, and I quote, "BoJack, I don't really like anything about me. None of this is me." And she also does not have really any healthy coping mechanisms except for drugs and alcohol. So she is seen many times just turning back to substances whenever something goes wrong in her life, which happens quite often. So lastly is a personality disorder. This can be caused because she experienced severe long-term childhood trauma by the adults in her life, especially whenever she grew up working in Hollywood. She struggles with identity and confusion a lot. This can be seen throughout the many different phases she went through in her life, including child star, pop star, drug user. Just she doesn't really know what she wants to be in her life and is kind of just going with the trends. She also has emotional dysregulation, which can be seen with her frequent mood swings, include wherever she would go from screaming at someone to breaking down sobbing to being very happy the next second. She also has very unstable relationships, which can be seen whenever she slept with BoJack Horseman, who is someone she viewed as a father figure starting at a very early age. She also has very impulsive and self-destructive behavior. She frequently feels empty, and she has a very unstable sense of self-worth. A lot of her self-worth depends on how much attention she's getting and whether people like her or not. So, according to this information, it is likely that she has a personality disorder because of the similarity in symptoms. Her possible diagnoses for a personality disorder, I believe, is borderline personality disorder or hysteria personality disorder. So the first personality disorder we will be discussing is borderline personality disorder, and this can be seen through her extreme fear of abandonment, the way that she latches on to whoever is giving her attention in the moment, and also her unstable relationships, identity disturbance, impulsive and self-destructive behavior, emotional instability, and her chronic feeling of emptiness. I picked this scene right here because I think it very well represented her symptoms that she was experiencing. So the man in the picture is supposed to be Andrew Garfield, and he broke up with her in a public area to hopefully avoid her acting this way, but she still did anyway. Her initial response was to scream at him, take a whole bottle of pills, and then stab herself in the stomach, all in the middle of an IKEA, which I think highlights her symptoms of unstable relationships, impulsive and self-destructive behavior, and intense emotional insustainability. The next one we will be discussing is histrionic personality disorder, and according to the DSM-5-TR, the definition for it is a mental health condition characterized by a pervasive pattern of excessive emotional and attention-seeking behavior. This can be seen in Sarah Lynn, through her constantly performing for others' approval, which she started at a very early age because she grew up in Hollywood. She is often seen sexualizing herself, and I believe starting at the age of 18, she immediately wanted to, quote unquote, prove to everyone that she's not a little girl anymore. She's also seen constantly participating in attention seeking behavior, which can be seen in the scene that I mentioned in the last slide with Andrew Garfield. She also constantly needs affection and reassurance from others. She acts in a very overly emotional way, and she's often seen manipulating others to get her way. In season 1, episode 3, she temporarily stayed with BoJack Horseman after she got out of rehab, and BoJack said that he didn't want her to have any friends over to his house, and her immediate response was, I guess I'm not that little girl anymore. I guess since I'm old and washed up, no one really cares about me. And right when BoJack said that she was allowed to have friends over, she immediately snapped back to normal and said, okay, perfect, thank you. And she also has a sense of self-worth depending on how much attention she gets. This can be seen through her unstable identity, wherever she switches who she is just depending on what's trending at the time to make sure people are giving her enough attention. So my final diagnosis for her is substance abuse disorder and borderline personality disorder. And her symptoms for borderline personality disorder can be seen throughout the series in many different times, including her fear of abandonment in season 1, episode 3, wherever she clings on to BoJack after seeing him almost 10 years ago and barely interacting with him since, and identity disturbance, which can be seen in season 3, episode 11, wherever she went on a bender and had a moment where she realized that the person that she has become over the years is not really her, and she barely recognizes herself anymore. Also, her unstable relationships, which can be seen in season 1, episode 3, wherever the Andrew Garfield scene happened, and also that's when she slept with BoJack Horseman, who was someone that she viewed as a father figure. She also has impulsive and self-destructive behavior, which can be seen in season 1, episode 3, wherever she stabbed herself because of a breakup, and also season 3, episode 11, wherever she went on a month-long bender with BoJack Horseman, which eventually led to her death. She also has very intense emotional insustainability, which can be seen in season 3, episode 12, during a flashback, where BoJack Horseman went to go visit her, and her emotions went from very excited to see him to something that could be recognized as just emotionally unstable, where she was saying stuff like, I know I'm smiling, but the light inside me is dying. I am this close to falling off the deep end. And then back to happy, and then very sad. She also has a chronic feeling of emptiness, where she admits to BoJack in season 3, episode 11, wherever she has the moment with him right before she died, wherever she explained that she's never really been happy with anything, including the music award that she just won, all of the money that she has, all the drugs that she's done. She's never really felt happy. There's always been a hole in her that she has never been able to fill. So some treatment options for her would be psychotherapy and directal behavioral therapy, which is commonly seen helping people with personality disorder, so I do believe that this will be a good fit for her. And if she did go on the medication route, which is not recommended because of her substance abuse disorder, but if she did, I think mood stabilizers would be well for her, and also selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, or an SSRI, would show her the best improvement of her symptoms. And here are the references I used to create this presentation.